Bungie has gone on the record to say that they changed too much too quickly for Destiny 2 and Edge of Fate. This article comes to us, I believe it has Robbie Stevens is one of the game devs that's interviewed here. We got changes messy. Destiny 2 dev admits it went too far and changed too much too quickly with Edge of Fate as the game hits one of its buggiest years yet. All right. Destiny 2's assistant game director admits Bungie pushed too many changes too fast during the Edge of Fate, leading to one of the buggiest years the game has seen recently. So if you don't know, the bugs in Destiny 2 have been getting out of hand for sure. Destiny 2 has been in surgery all year. The Edge of Fate expansion in July did not just kick off the new saga, it rewired almost everything in terms of how the game functions. I mean, they created the portal and then they kind of took about 20% of the existing game and plugged it into it, but yeah. The portal became the main progression hub, and Armor 3.0 changes how the stats worked. Bungie also added a gear tiering system where players could unlock different tiers of the same weapon, with each tier enhancing the weapon's perks and stats. Now, Bungie is about to layer even more systems on top of that with Renegades, a Star Wars themed expansion launching next week on December 2nd. Renegades brings a new campaign and Lawless Frontier activity, the Praxic Blade Exotic, Blasters, a new order system for rewards, the Equilibrium Dungeon, and new weekly grind like Vanguard alerts. The problem is that the game has been struggling under the weight of all this. Since Edge of Fate launched, Destiny 2 has been hit with one bug after another. Bungie had to apologize for the Armor 3.0 ability stats not matching its own preview. Geez, that was like 6 months ago. Movement was bugged and worse than before. Oh my gosh, you know what? They just unearthed a bunch of core memories. I had repressed these thoughts and ideas because we covered so many news stories. But yeah, there was this time period for like the first 3 months of Edge of Fate where all of the third-party sites were like, what the fuck is going on, Bungie? You guys are actively spreading misinformation about your own game. Everyone's out here testing how the game works, and they're like, the math doesn't math. You know, this isn't working out. So, there was like 4 massive exposés of like Bungie completely giving us misinformation about how Destiny 2 works. I forgot about all of that. It's been I feel like I've been in such a fever dream the last 6 months that I forgot about this craziness. Yeah, base mobility values were wrong. There was a bunch of stuff. On top of that, Ass and Irony update unintentionally altered grenade and melee cooldowns. No way, I didn't even hear about that. So 100 stat builds felt weaker than pre-Edge of Fate. Then came the Crafting 2.0 sword glitch that let players delete raid bosses almost instantly. Hey, that was just fun. Let's just be real. Listen, if a weapon in Destiny 2 randomly bugs out and does 20,000 more damage, let's just say that's very different than your grenade stat being regenerating my words are hard. I'm fumbling my words right now. I gotta drink some water here. Your grenade stat fumbling and regenerating half the speed it should. Sorry about that. I've been drinking too much eggnog. It's Thanksgiving, all right? Give me a pass here. All right. Let players delete raid bosses with 0 heavy ammo. Bungie has been responding and apologizing as each issue pops up, but players have clearly felt the impact. Now Destiny 2 director Robbie Stevens is speaking out about what has been going on behind the scenes. Oh, this is interesting. Getting a peek behind the curtain here and see what Bungie says is going on. Bungie says Destiny 2 Edge of Fate changed too much too quickly. Interesting. Speaking to Rogue in a Renegades preview interview at Bungie HQ, assistant game director Robbie Stevens was asked directly about the current instability, the bug walls, and what all these rapid changes have done to the live game. Stevens said Edge of Fate, the Year of Prophecy updates, and Renegades were all built as a response to players asking for bigger changes, more ways to play, and more loot to chase. He admits that scale of change came with a price. In his words, change is messy. There are probably parts of the game where we went too far and we changed too much too quickly. Very interesting. Changing too much too quickly is crazy because I feel like it felt like not a lot actually changed when they just took like years old missions and were like, hey, you know, now you have the grappler modifier on. Didn't feel like a ton changed in regards to that. So I'm confused as to why. Maybe there's a lot more going on behind the scenes as to how they code things, but definitely an odd uh, diagnosis. He calls that cost a tax the team now has to pay in the form of emergency fixes and reworks when parts of the new structure simply do not work. At the same time, he points to things Bungie still believes were good calls, like the new armor stat curves, set bonuses. I like the set bonuses, and and especially because armor for many years was completely useless and meaningless grind. So to have armor be more powerful now was definitely worth it. And tier 5 weapons, I think the tiered weapon system is actually pretty good too. Although it being tied to power progression, not so much, but in and of itself, it's interesting. While admitting those also sped up power progression so much that the team had to invent new long term chases to keep players engaged. Interesting. I mean, I think Edge of Fate, Year of Prophecy, and Renegades, the entire year here, a big part of this was people wanting change, asking us to make changes to the game, asking for new things to do. Where did those new things go? What happened to that? New things to explore? Yeah, where's that? New loot, different ways of even playing the game too, said Stevens. And so change is messy. And the thing I think we will own and acknowledge is there's probably parts of the game where we went too far and we changed too much too quickly. And with that comes a tax. And that tax is how much we need to then react to those things that aren't working for how much we changed. Now there are things I that have, I think, gone pretty well, right? We got the new armor stat changes, the set bonuses that came from them. I agree. Tier 5 weapons themselves feel hot, even though we've created a new problem because we've sped up so much of progression that we need to find new exciting chases. It's tough. Yeah, tier 5 weapons definitely border on the highest degree of power creep, right? I feel like there's a certain limitation to where we can get with power creep where you might just have to create a whole entire new weapon type. We've talked about the Black Armory and a tier above exotics. I don't know if that's the route that Bungie will have to go eventually, but maybe at this rate. A lot of what Renegades is doing sounds like a direct reaction to that. The order system is meant to give you a clearer, more focused reward tracks across common, legendary, and exotic tiers. Vanguard Alerts adds a weekly ritual layer that makes it obvious where to start when you log in. And we're clearly trying to do that. You're seeing it with the blasters and the Praxic Blade having a ton of customization, gameplay, and cosmetic depth there. Having more just cosmetic pursuits inside of Renegades, all up with each of the syndicates, which is not something we had in the Edge of Fate at all. And also, y'all seen it yet? Wait, y'all seen it yet? Because we want everyone to experience it and see for the first time. But we actually are going to have these alternate delighter perks on blasters as well. Interesting. So even if you've earned a tier 5 blaster, there's still going to be a pretty deep chase to earn the alternate origin perk versions that are going to be a new perk. Whoa. Super hot for them as well. Interesting. And I'm only hiding this as there's some stuff coming very, very soon because a lot of that is in direct reaction to changes we've made or we've had to make because of how fast we had to move in order to start to the right ship on the speed of progression and how it feels. Interesting. So you're going to have some different alternate origin traits for some of these new weapons coming out, these blasters. And so I think the reality though still remains in order for the game to continue to evolve. And we're trying our best in order to make it feel different in the right ways and change in ways that are somewhat sustainable for us developers. But also, frankly, our main goal is just excitement and fun for players. Sounds good? There are going to be bumps in the road. It's going to happen. There are more bumps than we wanted. Yeah, I'd say there's a gigantic mountain in the road, not a speed bump. And like I said, a big part of that is that we acknowledge we probably changed too much. We probably should have tried to innovate a little less and focused on a little bit more smaller bites at the apple. So definitely acknowledging that, Stevens concluded. Very interesting. There's a lot coming in the next expansion, new exotics, a long list of legendary weapons, and returning favorites, which you can check out in a full article from them. How are you feeling about all this? Interesting stuff. So they're saying that maybe they changed too much too soon. It's when you enter into a new saga, though, I feel like you want to start off with a bang, you know? And Bungie unfortunately started off with a fart. You know, we got the Edge of Fate. And the tier 5 loot, the weapons and armor was a step in the right direction, maybe even 2 steps in the right direction in terms of interesting like weapons and gear and loot. You know, it is a looter shooter game, right? You're supposed to be chasing after this exciting and interesting loot. So I think that for that reason, they were taking a step in the right direction. But I think it's all the other stuff that didn't really work out very well. And when they wanted to create a system like the Portal, by only bringing in 20% of the content from the game prior to that, I think that was one of the bigger missteps. I'm not sure how or why they did that. Maybe they didn't want to go too far just in case people hated it so much that they could potentially revert back. I'm not sure. Maybe they were just too lazy. Maybe they don't have a big enough dev team to actually pull off bringing the whole game from pre-Edge of Fate into the Portal. I don't know what the deal was with that, but that definitely was a big misstep. And I don't know that changing too much too quickly was really the big issue here. I think that the biggest issue was just not giving people a bunch of new experiences as you jump into a new saga of Destiny 2. You know, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here where I continuously talk about the same thing again and again and again. But I do think that is a bigger issue than changing too much too quickly. I think that when you logged into Destiny 2 Edge of Fate, and I remember a lot of people on my live stream saying this, they were like, "What? Why are you playing this mission that's like years old? What are you like? Didn't Edge of Fate just come out? Like, what are you doing this for? This doesn't make any sense." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like yeah, guys, like haha, here's the thing, you know." Uh, so Edge of Fate did just come out, but then there's like this big power grind thing, and so you have to do this mission that's like fucking 6 years old, like 1,000 times. And so I'll just be doing the same mission that's 6 years old for the next 3 weeks now. So it was, you know, not the best sell for people, the optics of Destiny 2. So definitely Renegades will give us a different experience than that. Renegades, we are not logging into Renegades and playing any missions that are old for at least the first 3 weeks. All right, fingers crossed. Okay, if we are, then we riot. Okay, if we log into Destiny 2 Renegades and they're like, hey guys, actually, you know, if you want to, you can do this fucking mission from Forsaken and, you know, level up from that. I'm like, nope, we're not doing that. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing old stuff. Okay. If you want us to buy the new stuff, Bungie, if you want us to buy Renegades, if you want us to play the new content, if you want to keep players coming back, you know, year after year, month after month, expansion after expansion, then you got to start delivering some new stuff. So that's the bottom line, in my opinion.